So this time next week, I'm going to be back at med school. So I thought in lieu of that, I would talk about some of the medical books that I read when I was applying to medicine years ago, because it's a very grueling process trying to get into med school. And I think having background information on the subject is very useful, but there's lots of books on medicine now. It's a very oversaturated genre. So I thought I'd talk about the ones that stuck out to me. Today I thought I'd talk about one book in particular that I really wish more med students would read. I feel like it doesn't get enough appreciation, and that is The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. This book had such an impression on me. I think if you have an interest in medical ethics especially, this is one for you, because it's a very interesting debate on ownership and who is entitled to the cells in our body. So Henrietta Lacks, if you didn't already know, she was a poor black woman who died in the 50s from a very extreme form of cervical cancer. The cells that were taken from her cervix for the biopsy, they endlessly replicated to the point that they were essentially immortal, and they could be used experimentally in research. And so they were propagated across the world, and all of these different scientists now had a sample of Henrietta Lacks's cells, nicknamed HeLa cells, because unlike other cells that had previously been tested on, they didn't have a shelf life. They could just endlessly go on and repeat and make more and more generations of themselves. The problem, of course, is that there was no consent involved at all in the taking of her cells, partly because this was the 50s, and as a black woman, she didn't have the same medical rights that a white person would have been entitled to, but also because she died and the rest of her family sort of struggled in squalor. These scientists were essentially allowed to just take her cells and spread them around, making millions. John Hopkins, the hospital that, originally took these cells, made so much money off of the back of them, and the Henrietta Lacks and her family haven't really seen a penny of it. So it's really quite upsetting in that sense. And I think what I like so much about this book is that Rebecca Skloot, the writer, she's very tactful in the way that she goes about uncovering this story, in that she doesn't insert herself too much into the story of it. I think this is a good lesson in investigative journalism and how to look into a story without taking up space yourself in it, because it's clear that there is an element of race to this story and how this black family have been mistreated at the hands of, these huge medical institutions that have made millions off of their mother's legacy. So it was refreshing to see Rebecca Skloot as this white journalist sort of take not necessarily accountability, but just being mindful of how this is their story and she's just helping them tell it. It really is amazing, the scientific advancements that might not have been possible were it not for Henrietta Lacks's cells. They have been sent into space. They have been used on countless vaccine developments. They were instrumental in HIV treatments, HPV treatments. The list goes on and on. Like the polio vaccine, this black woman from the 50s, her cells are like the secret ingredient to all of these medical breakthroughs. And that's why it's really frustrating that she doesn't get the respect that she's entitled to as sort of like this landmark figure in the development of modern medicine. But that's why I think this book is so useful. Even though now we have frameworks like the Human Tissue Act, there are still grey areas in the rules regarding possession, especially with cells. At what point does something no longer become a part of you? Does that then make it okay for the doctor or the scientist to do whatever they want with it? There's a lot of thought-provoking ideas that come from this story, and that's why I really think it's a good book to read. The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks has also since been turned into a movie, which I have also seen and really enjoyed it. It stars Oprah Winfrey. She plays Henrietta Lacks's daughter, because most of the story is Rebecca Skloot sort of helping Henrietta Lacks's daughter uncover the truth around her mother's legacy and how you know, she is responsible for all of these breakthroughs in modern medicine and yet hasn't received, you know, the credit for them or any of the, you know, profitability because her cells have become so lucrative. And it's really a story that I think deserves more people talking about it.